Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Nathalie with Vitiligo Friends here at Blog Talk Radio, and today our guest is going to be Morris Wisdom. We're going to talk about simple changes in your diet that we can use to perhaps halt the spreading or even use as a treatment for vitiligo. Our call-in number is 1-858-769-4727. 858-769-4727. And a couple of announcements I wanted to make that happened this week. It's pretty exciting news. Clinuvel announced that they were finally approved for FDA trials in the U.S. for their vitiligo treatment, Finesse. And they're calling for volunteers that live in the different cities that they're conducting the trials. And I think there's about 5 cities. And on the latest post that I've done on vitiligocover.com, there's a whole article about their approval process, and then another post about the volunteers that they're calling. So I'll put that up on the website after with links to that so you can get to that. And then also the Delaware Vitiligo Support and Awareness Group announced that the governor of Delaware has proclaimed July as Vitiligo Support and Awareness Month. And they're going to celebrate this with a What Coat UM church in Salisbury, Dover, Delaware. That's going to be sometime this summer. And again, I'm going to have all this information with links up at vitiligocover.com, on Facebook at Vitiligo Friends, and on Vitiligo Friends at Blog Talk Radio. Hi.
Awesome.
Today, my guest is a really great friend of mine, Morris Wisdom. He has a master's in Kinesiology and Physiology, and he's a certified nutritionist, and he's been working with clients for over 15 years to help get their bodies in shape inside and out.
You got it.
And I asked him to come in here, because he's just so knowledgeable about everything under the sun.
Right.
And but specifically to talk about autoimmune diseases, since vitiligo falls under that category. And because there's not enough research done for nutrition in vitiligo, I thought if we encapsulated it with autoimmune diseases and spoke about that, then maybe we could hit all the high, those kind of things can be taken out and used for people who have vitiligo, since that is one of the things. And autoimmune diseases are simply where your body's immune system fights your own cells, your own muscle tissue, and then diseases occur because your body is not in homeostasis state.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and that's right. And vitiligo falls kind of under that umbrella of, umbrella, of autoimmune diseases. Mm-hmm. And, and they are hard, it's hard to pinpoint exactly why one of these diseases occur, but, they've done a lot of research and found that diet is a leading cause of autoimmune diseases, as well as like toxins, man-made toxins in the environment. Stress can be a major cause of autoimmune diseases. And then trauma, like x-rays and things of that nature, can also cause autoimmune diseases. And then genetics are obviously play a part of that too.
When you say things like the x-rays or accident,
mm-hmm. Right.
Those can be like if you're in a car accident or if you scraped your arm or broke your arm. Because, sometimes people begin to see their vitiligo showing where they got a cut or where they were injured, and then it just stops pigmenting there.
Yeah.
And
so basically your body at that point wasn't able to defend that cut or defend that disease, and that's when things then kind of take off, and so vitiligo can take off in a situation like that.
And then when we say stress on your body, we're not only talking about mental stress. We're talking about stress that could be caused from maybe improper eating or stress that if your kidneys have to work too hard or your liver has to work too hard, then that causes stress on your body because it has to compensate in some way, so then your immune system is compromised. Is that what?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Too much of anything can cause stress on the body, and your body is smart enough to try to react to that stress. Too much exercise, your body will try to react to that stress, and so you start to, it affects your sleep patterns and things of that nature. Too much of the wrong types of food, then you gain weight or your immune system breaks down. So smoking is a type of stress that will wreck your body if you do it too often or at all, basically. So stress comes in a lot of different forms, and our body is always trying to adapt to stress. Sometimes it can do it, and other times it just breaks down in the effort of adapting.
In the case of vitiligo, we really have not been able to pinpoint what turns that gene on. We know that it's a gene that causes it, but what actually is the impetus for that to turn on, nobody knows. But I do know that nutrition and changing one's diet has helped some people. I just did a series about this work that this father or family did for their daughter Emily. She had vitiligo, and they completely changed their way of life. I'm going to say more. It's not that they started exercising or anything, but really their way of life as far as eating. Eating became really kind of like the center of the meals became the center of their family life, and she repigmented. Now, they did take supplements, so I would like for you to talk about supplements, too, if you can have some information about that. But because I know, well, secondhand, I don't know firsthand because I don't know the family, but I know secondhand from reading this man's detailed story about the repigmentation of his daughter, that nutrition definitely played a role in that. So though it might not work for everyone who has vitiligo, it is certainly something worth experimenting with your own body, if not to cure the vitiligo, just to be healthier, which, we really all should take concern in doing. So let's talk about let's start at the beginning. Like, what are things that we can do to promote a stronger immune system?
Well, diet obviously is probably one of the easiest things that we can control on our own. We have total control of the foods that we choose and what we choose to eat. And so selecting a diet that has the proper amount of fruits and vegetables is very important. Keeping saturated fats and fried foods at a minimum or trying to eliminate them at all. Also avoiding, processed foods as much as you can. You go to the grocery store and everything in the center of the grocery store is processed. And, you've heard,
that doesn't include macaroni and cheese, though, right?
No, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
No. So trying to avoid processed foods and, shop on the outside of the grocery store where you have meats and dairy and produce, and I don't think cigarettes are in the outside aisles anymore. So
customer service is on the outside.
Customer service should be on the inside because it's processed. And then minimizing the use of alcohol.
So when you're saying outside of the store, let me just clarify this for everybody. When you're saying outside of the store, you're thinking of a grocery store as if it were a donut. No pun intended, really.
Right.
But so when you say outside of the store, you're talking about that outer ring that most stores have. So when you first walk in, you've got this part where it's all the vegetables and fruits, and you walk around, and you've got your deli and fish and meat. And then are you also including in that it's all right for the milk and all the dairy kinds of things?
Absolutely.
And then cheeses. And,
absolutely.
Well, except for processed cheese.
Well, right.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, and you're not going to be able to maintain a diet without having processed foods, but just keeping them at a minimum.
So what's a minimum?
Well, it's really, hard. I mean, it's hard to say that there's like 50% of your food shouldn't be processed. You should just always try to lean towards a choice between raw vegetables and fruits and meat and things of that nature. So to say, 10% of your diet should be processed or not, you should try to eliminate that. Try to always eat whole foods. But there's going to be a point in time where, for the sake of convenience, you're going to use processed foods or fast food, but you should always try to minimize that. And
when we're picking out portions of foods that are good for us, let's say chickens or even some kind of meat, and fruits and vegetables, when we're thinking of our plate and how we're going to fill it up, is a good rule of thumb to base our portions on how much can fit in the palm of your hand, or is that, I learned that so long ago, I don't know if that's still accurate or not, because those things change all the time, don't they, like with all the different studies, and
they
every
change.
Week there's like, that was bad for you, I don't know how we did that for so long, because now we're supposed to do this. So what's the thing?
For me, there isn't a thing, because everyone is different, everyone needs a different level of calories, and so there isn't, I don't think that I can say there's a rule of thumb for that. It really does depend upon how many calories you need to either gain or lose or sustain the weight that you have. And so to say that a portion size should be a particular size would be kind of misleading. So
I want to interject here with the reminder that if anybody wants to call in with questions to either Morris or myself, the number is 1-858-769-4727. All right, so let's talk about the different, let's say that you're going through your grocery store, and I have so often gone in the organic section. But when I look at the organic food ingredients, they don't always seem like they're, that much better for you than the regular foods. Even those really, some of those things can be considered processed foods too, right?
Right. And I think, there's, we go through these cycles of nutrition where, 10, 15 years ago, it was all about everything had to be no fat or low fat, and so people then would, buy low fat items and eat too many carbs. And now there is a big push for organic foods. And, the benefit to organic foods is that they're not using pesticides that you could potentially ingest while you're eating your meals. Other than that, a carrot is a carrot, and, wheat is wheat. So you're going to kind of be taking in the same amount of carbs and proteins and fats as you would for non-organic. It's just avoiding the pesticides that are typically used.
Well, when we have the organic, buying, let's say, an organic apple, are we saying that it's safe to eat that apple because the outside of it doesn't have chemicals? Or are we saying because the inside also? I'm not really sure, like, as it's growing. Let's say that I buy a regular apple, and I wipe it off, wash it and clean it. Is that then going to be as safe as an organic apple?
Not necessarily, because some of the pesticides that are used could make its way into, the core of the apple.
Okay.
So it could be that you're ingesting, pesticides at that point. How much, and is it a lethal dose at some point? That kind of would remain to be seen. But that's the push for organics, is the elimination of pesticides.
And that makes sense, especially since it's going to be virtually impossible as consumers in America, at least, to buy products to have a completely chemical-free diet because, you know, your milk does hormones. Everything has something that may not be good for you. But I guess if we take advantage of the areas where we can select foods that are hopefully really organic, then at least we are, like you said, minimizing what the intake is, and so less damage to your body.
Yeah, if you have the choice of organic versus non-organic, then it's always probably better to lean toward the organic foods. But then, again, sometimes it's cost prohibitive, and a red pepper, you know, is $1 more because it's organic, and truly is the damage, you know, that you could potentially cause to your body by eating that red pepper enough to where you'd want to spend the extra dollars. Probably not.
What I was going to talk about next is, because I get a lot of people who are interested in this, but they say, you know, I want to change to organic, but it's so expensive. How am I supposed to do that? It's kind of like the old, well, I'd love to cook every night, but it's more expensive to cook dinner than it is to go out and buy something fast food. But there's an alternative, and that would be any local farmers.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a farmer's market, they're not always convenient where you live. Like, there isn't one close to me, but there are some downtown. And then occasionally there's this farmer, a local farmer. I guess they're not really a big farmer, but they just have, like, family land, and then they grow corn and cantaloupe and stuff, and then they sell on the side of the road.
Right.
And that's a great alternative.
It is, as long as they're not
organic.
If they're not using pesticides. You can also start a small garden at home if you have the place to do it.
Oh, I could definitely do that.
Pick out your favorite things. And
have you ever done that?
Sure. Yeah, and, you know, it's easy. And
have you really?
Yeah.
What did you grow?
Tomatoes, you know, the topsy-turvies, you know.
That thing does not work. I've bought one of those last. Have you? Seriously, have you done that?
Yeah, you turn it upside down, the thing grows, and you have to have it up high enough, and you get tomatoes.
I bought that thing. It was $10. Bought all the plants, and nothing grew in it.
You have to water it. And
nobody said anything about watering.
Speak to it nicely throughout the day. And
nobody said anything about nice talk or water.
There you go. You didn't read the directions. So.
No, I guess. And I should have just asked you before I ventured off.
Thank you very much. That's right.
That adventurous. All right. In the Emily Vitiligo story, the big thing that the family did was change to first they tried vegan, but they couldn't stick with that. So they went vegetarian. And a lot of people have asked me, and I've just sent them links, you know, to try to explain the difference between vegetarian and vegan. Could you give us a little bit of an explanation of that? And is it easy? Well, not easy, but how simple can we make that transition? The transition not to vegan, but let's say transition to vegetarian.
Sure. Well, you know, vegetarian, and if you consider yourself or considering a vegetarian diet, I mean, basically you're going to try to eliminate meats and meat-type products and animal products from your diet. And the more strictly you do that, then the closer you're moving towards a vegan diet. Vegetarians will often eliminate, like, red meats and pork and things of that nature, but maybe still eat fish or eat eggs or drink milk and milk products. And so, I mean, you can create a vegetarian diet and still maintain some of that animal product, because it's important to have protein that comes from those specific things. If you're going to go vegan, more toward vegan, where you're eliminating milk and eggs and all that sort of protein, then you have to find a source of protein in your diet, and a lot of vegans will use soy as their source of protein, because protein is what helps to build and maintain muscle in your body. And if you're not getting enough protein, then the muscle starts to break down over time, and that changes your metabolism, and you'll hold on to body fat more easily and things of that nature. You obviously...
And then you're causing damage to your body where the vitiligo, you know, may start spreading even more.
Yeah, it's another type of stress on your body. So if you're going to go toward a vegan diet, you have to have some kind of protein product. And soy is not a complete protein, so it's not as good as eggs or milk or lean meats and things of that nature. So most people find vegetarian or vegan diets trendy, and that's why they do it. Some people do it for very specific beliefs that they have. But moderation is the best rule of thumb when you're looking at your diet. You want to just use good common sense and portion control and moderation with the things that you choose.
One of the things also that the father had tested for Emily, and I know that a lot of the readers on PhysiologyCover.com discuss this often, and that is gluten intolerance. We didn't discuss gluten, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but one of the biggest things that is a common thread with people that have vitiligo is that we have low folic acid and low B12. And so the B12 is absorbed from the foods that we eat, and normally it would just go through the stomach lining into the bloodstream and disperse as needed in your body. But for whatever reason, if you are low in B12, whatever's causing that would be that it's not absorbing in your stomach. It's just, being eliminated instead of dispersing. And so I take a sublingual B12 vitamin. So what that means is it's a little tiny tablet, but I put it under my tongue, and it melts. And so then it goes directly to my bloodstream. Great for energy, for people who don't really need it, but I like to use that as a supplement just in case that will help either stop the spread of vitiligo or maybe just eliminate it. So how do you feel about a gluten-free diet?
Gluten-free diet is really, really hard to pull off because gluten is in so many of the things that you eat, but again, it's in so many of the processed things that you eat. And so if you're staying away from processed foods and really working with mostly whole foods, you're going to be able to minimize the amount of gluten in your diet. And people who have that, it's called celiac disease, where they have this gluten intolerance, and their body just goes crazy because of gluten. And
when you say go crazy, what is that?
Well, there's just different symptoms, irritable bowel syndrome and weight gain and things of that nature, being lethargic. And so gluten really makes their body react in ways that just aren't necessarily what we would think is normal.
And that's probably less that it's the gluten, but what the gluten does in your... Hey, I wonder if one would take Acidophilus. Would that go ahead and balance out the flora, the good flora and the bad flora in your stomach?
I don't know. I don't know how that would react with. Gluten is one of those chemicals that when you introduce it into your body, you just really don't know how it's going to react. And again, by eliminating processed foods, you can eliminate a lot of the gluten that you would normally encounter with normal eating. So,
and that's very. I've read that many times. Avoid processed foods, and that's I tried to make a little joke, which you didn't laugh at because you never laughed at any of my jokes.
No.
Not in front of me. You probably.
I do laugh at you. No, I laugh at you often, but
it's not funny.
What's your jokes?
Shut up. Now I've forgotten where I was. That's happened a time or two.
Yeah. You were speaking of processed food.
Okay, so that's right. So my joke about macaroni and cheese.
Right.
Because that's like such typical processed food with that cheese and
right. Well, it's something you can cook.
But it is something. You're mean. Funny. funny like this. No. So when I go to the store and I'm trying to avoid processed foods,
right?
You know, there's the obvious ones. You know, a can of soup, that's processed food.
Right.
My kit to make tacos,
right?
You know, processed food.
Right.
But what are some that are not so obvious? You know, potato chips.
Well, if you read a label and if you cannot generally pronounce most of the items that are on the nutritional list on the back on the with
ingredients,
the ingredients, then those are all processed food. So bread is obviously a processed food, and when you look at the label, all of the
you can't
pronounce them, and so that's not a natural ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
And so really anything that's prepared for us in advance, there are chemicals added so that it maintains a long shelf life, and so that's why we consider those processed foods.
So if one wanted to begin, what if you just started introducing gluten-free foods in your diet? Because they've got aisles of that at the grocery store.
Sure.
They cost a fortune at some stores. So you realize, Trader Joe's is a great store for that because they've got a lot of gluten-free foods,
right.
and they are well priced.
Right.
But will it make a difference? If you introduce some things, or is just having any gluten in your diet going to still cause the same habit?
No, I think gluten levels can be altered, and you can maybe experience some benefit from reducing. And you can go online. There are a lot of sites online that list foods. They'll give you a whole list of foods that have gluten in them, and you can look at some of those foods and maybe start deciding which ones you can eliminate from your diet.
Mm-hmm.
And start like that, or go through the aisles, like you said, at Trader Joe's or any of the stores now, and shop those aisles and substitute things that you would normally eat for gluten-free items, and that can help. One other thing before I know we're kind of running low on time, is that just making sure you drink enough water every day, too. Water cleanses your body, and we recommend that if you look at your body's weight and you take half of that number, if you weigh 120 pounds, you should drink about 60 ounces
Why would you announce my weight
of water. I said 120. 60 ounces of water every day. So it's your weight.
60 ounces.
Right.
How many glasses is that?
Well, it depends on the size of the glass. It could be one 60-ounce glass, or it could be 10 6-ounce glasses. 60 ounces of water would be what
no one's ever accused you of not being a smart ass. Okay? That's what I love, yeah.
But that water cleanses and can really eliminate some of the toxins that have built up from some of the diet decisions that you make.
That's really great advice about the water, because it's so easy to forget to do that.
Right.
I drink a lot of espressos.
Right.
And a lot of places serve water with that, because coffee's dehydrated.
Yeah, it dehydrates you, and so you need to replenish that as you drink coffee or caffeinated beverages.
So a good rule of thumb is to just walk around with a water bottle as often as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Once your body gets used to it, you will actually crave, and it helps to keep your body in check and keep your appetite suppressed and things of that nature too. So water is a big deal.
I'm going to put an ebook together for us with a lot of the information that we've just gotten from Morris about the different foods that you can add to your diet. I'll put in a list of the gluten-free foods that are available through nature, and some that are available to buy, that are good choices, smart choices. And right now we want to say thank you to everybody who has joined us this week on Vitiligo Friends on Facebook. And you can join us on Twitter at Vitiligo Corner, or Nathalie P, Nathaliep. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Vitiligo Cover Lotion, I hope to talk with you next week. Join us, and we'll see you online. Thanks so much. Thanks, Morris.
You're welcome.
All right, bye.